All right, let's talk about something really cool: biophilic design. It's all about how we can take our digital world, which can feel kind of sterile sometimes, and inject it with the calming, natural patterns we see all around us. And we're going to focus specifically on how this applies to something we see every day: icons. So let's start with this question. Have you ever felt that, I don't know, that drain after spending hours staring at a screen? It's like a subtle but constant exhaustion. Well, that feeling is totally real. It's not just you, it's something called digital fatigue. And it happens because our digital world is just so different from the natural world our brains evolved in. And yeah, this slide just nails that disconnect, right? On one side, you've got the digital world, all hard lines, flat colors, super functional symbols. And on the other side, the natural world, organic shapes, calming patterns, this effortless complexity. The problem is we're living more and more on the left side of the screen, but our brains are wired for the right. Okay, so this all leads to a really key scientific idea called the biophilia hypothesis. It's a fancy way of saying that we as humans have this built-in biological need to connect with nature. It's not just that we like it, it's that we need it. It's literally part of our wiring, and for the most part, digital design has just completely ignored it. So, here's the game plan for today. First, we'll look at this digital disconnect. Then, we'll dive into nature's own design principles. After that, we're going to get practical, from a simple sketch to a finished vector icon. We'll talk about how to prep it for digital use, and then we'll wrap it all up by seeing how this creates a much more human interface. All right, let's jump right into nature's design principles. And I want to be super clear here. This is not just about drawing pretty pictures of leaves and flowers. No, this is about understanding the strategy, the framework that makes nature's design so powerful, and then figuring out how to apply that logic to our digital creations. First up, we have biomorphism. The best way to think about this is it's like we're capturing the essence of nature. We're not trying to paint a perfect photorealistic flower for an icon. Instead, we're grabbing its essential curves, its basic structure, those soft organic forms that just feel natural. And here's where it gets really practical and super cool. Think about the standard settings icon. It's a gear, right? We've all learned that that means settings. But what if you designed an icon that subtly uses the spiral pattern from a sunflower? Now you're tapping into something deeper, our built-in understanding of natural order. It just feels less like a cold machine and more like a living system. Okay, next up, fractals. You see these literally everywhere in nature. It's the pattern where a small piece looks just like the whole thing. Think about a tree branch splitting into smaller and smaller twigs, or how veins spread out in a leaf, or even a snowflake. It's this incredible, organized complexity, and our brains are just naturally tuned to recognize and appreciate it. Now get this. This is not just about aesthetics. Studies have actually shown that just looking at these kinds of fractal patterns can reduce your physiological stress by up to 60%. I mean, 60%. That is a huge impact, and it's something we can literally design right into our apps and websites. And here's another awesome example. A network icon is usually just, some dots and lines. Kind of boring. But what if you use a fractal design that looks like a river delta branching out? You're instantly communicating this idea of a complex, interconnected system in a way that feels totally natural and intuitive. It just clicks. All right, our last big principle is the golden ratio. Now, this isn't some kind of mystical design secret. It's just a mathematical proportion, about 1.618, that shows up everywhere in nature, from seashells to flower petals. And when we use it to build our icons and layouts, our brains just perceive them as being balanced and harmonious. It's like a design cheat code to make things feel right. Okay, so we've got the theory down. Now let's get our hands dirty. How do we actually take these amazing organic forms and turn them into the clean, crisp digital assets we need? This next part is all about the practical, step-by-step process. Any good icon workflow really boils down to these 4 steps. You start with research and inspiration, then you sketch to get the core idea down on paper. After that, you jump into software and vectorize it with precision. And finally, you refine everything to make it perfect. In that first step, research is so important. And here's the key. Start with primary sources. Seriously, before you even think about opening Dribbble or Behance, just go outside, pick up a leaf, look at a rock. Get your ideas straight from nature itself. Then you can go online and see how other designers have solved similar problems. So let's follow one idea from start to finish. We're going to start with our inspiration, this beautiful maple leaf. We're not just looking at it, we're studying it. We're seeing its core structure, those branching veins, that classic shape. Okay, step 2, we grab a pen and paper. And look, the goal here is not to create a masterpiece. It's all about speed and simplification. We want to boil that complex leaf down to its most basic, recognizable form. A good test is, can you hold the sketch at arm's length and still know exactly what it is? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. And boom, here's the final vector. You can see how that rough, organic sketch has been transformed into these clean lines and perfect curves. And it's all built on a precise pixel grid. This right here is the magic moment, the successful leap from the natural world onto the digital screen. So what software should you use? Well, you've got some great choices. Adobe Illustrator is kind of the king for really complex artistic stuff. Figma is what most people are using for UI design today, mainly because it's so good for collaboration and managing whole icon sets. And if you're all in on the Apple ecosystem, Sketch is a really great streamlined option. Okay, so we have this gorgeous vector icon, but we're not quite at the finish line. A great icon also has to be optimized for actual use. That means it needs to be lightweight, accessible, and totally ready for a developer to just drop it into the code. All right, quick question for you. When it's time to export these icons for a modern website or an app, what's the one format you should almost always be using? The answer is SVG. That's scalable vector graphics. For pretty much any icon you're creating today, SVG is the undisputed champion. No question. And here's exactly why SVGs are so great. First, scalability. You can make them as big or as small as you want, and they will always look perfectly sharp. Second, file size. They're super lightweight, which makes your website load faster. And third, and this is a big one, they're manipulable. It's just code, so a developer can easily change the color or even add cool animations. And so this brings us right back to where we started. When we take the time to create these thoughtful, nature-inspired icons, they're not just pretty decorations. We are actually helping to solve that digital disconnect. We're creating interfaces that are less stressful, more intuitive, and just more human. When we embed these natural patterns into our digital world, we can fundamentally change how our technology feels. So I'll leave you with this thought. What if the technology you use every day felt less like a cold, hard machine and a lot more like a living, breathing ecosystem?